Hello guys and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial today we will make an unusual project which consists in a model which will learn the code base of an organization we create on GitHub. This can be useful in the future because I conducted a research recently and apparently a lot of software developers have a problem learning the documentation and the code base from their jobs. And I think this could be transformed in a useful service like a chatbot or a platform where the onboarding process can be a lot easier for them. Okay, let's do this and let's start with our code here. I will use Google Colab for this tutorial. At the beginning of the notebook I put all the references needed for this project, and also I'll put a link in the description where you can find the notebook after we finish. On OpenAI's documentation pages, they have a fine-tuning tutorial where they show us step by step how to install the library, format the data for the fine-tuning, and then how to call the API with the model built by ourselves using their engine. We will gather the data from GitHub in a JSON lines file like the one from this example, where we'll define the prompt and the completion for our fine-tuned model. You'll also need to create an organization to keep our repos, our training data in it. To create an organization, you click your settings for your account and then to the list of your organization, and then you'll find a button to create a new organization. It's pretty straightforward. For our training data, we will fork a couple of public repositories. Actually, I found a project called Awesome READMEs. It has a couple of projects which have well-documented READMEs, and it's easy because we can associate the name of the project with a lot of text and information right here. We'll need to create a directory on Google Drive and then define the path to it in a variable at the beginning of our code. To get the data from our organization, we will use by GitHub. It's pretty easy to use. We will need to copy to the pip command right here. And if you don't know how to use it, you go to docs and then to examples, and here you have some shell examples of how to use this library. You can get the open issues, the files from the repositories, the content, and so on. In our install library subsection, we will add the pip command copied earlier to install PyGithub. We'll also need to install python.env because we will use two API keys from GitHub and OpenAI, and we have to keep them securely in a .env file, which we will put on Google Drive. The .env file will look something like this, with the access token being the GitHub API key and of course the key from our OpenAI account. Next, we'll install the JSON lines library with the upgrade option in the pip command because you will need the last version of the library and it is compatible with the Python version from Google Colab. And last but not the least, the OpenAI library from the documentation page. After you install the libraries, you will need to restart runtime. It will appear like a small button at the end. And if you don't like this output, you can clear the cell and you're good. Now we need to mount a drive right here. We'll use these two lines of code because even if we define the path earlier, we don't have access to the directory we created in Google Drive. We run it, we will have to give an access token after logging in with our Google account to be able to access the resources from Google Drive, and we paste it right here. After we write the code to load the environment variables here in our notebook. To get the access token for our GitHub account, we go to settings, and then we go to developer settings, and then we get our personal access token, which is pretty easy to generate. We will create a token called test, and then we have to give the scopes, the permissions for it. We will need the repos permissions, and I think the organization permissions right here. And after that, I think we're ready. We generate it and copy and put it in our .env file. For the Openai token, we go to API keys, and then we copy it in our .env file. Now we can put in our directory from Google Drive our .env file and then read it in our notebook. To read environmental variables, we import load-env, and then we call it giving the path to our .env file. And then if we run, we will be able to use them in our code. Okay, let's import the dependencies. First of all, we need to import the GitHub class from GitHub to create an instance which will access our account. Then we'll need to import OS because we will use the environment variables right here. And then we'll import JSON lines to create our fine-tuning training data. Then we create an instance of our GitHub class to access the data from our repositories in the train Finfair organization. G equal GitHub, and as parameter we give os.getEnv, and then we write the name of the access token for our GitHub account. Then we'll need to get the list of repositories from our train Finfair organization. Get the list of repos, which equals to g.getOrganization, and we give the name of our organization, and then get repos. And if we want to display the names of the repositories from the organization, we can do something like this. And we see the names right here. In this step, we'll associate the name of the repository with the content in the README, so we can have minimal information about the code base in that organization. We'll put the information in a JSON lines file, which has the extension JSON-L, and we'll put the prompt as the name of the repository and the completion, the content of the README. Then we'll iterate as earlier in the repositories list. We'll need try except here because for some reason I received some errors on the readmes of like 5 repositories. So we put it here to make our job a little bit easier. Then we read the content of each file readme, so it will be like file content equal repo.getContent, and we give the name of the readme, which is readme with caps.md. Now that we have the readme's content, we'll need to append the prompt, which is the name of the repo, and that content to the dictionary list right here. We'll put in the prompt repo that full name, and then for the completion part, we'll put exactly the content extracted from here. The thing is that the get contents result is encoded, so we'll need to decode it using decoded content.decode right here. I solved a couple of typos right there, and if we run it, it reads the content and it creates the dictionary list. And then if we want to check out number of dictionaries is 52. It got 52 out of 57 repositories, so it's good. Now we need to write the list of dictionaries in a JSON lines file. We create and open the file with JSON lines.open, and we concatenate the path with the name of our JSON lines file, which will be, let's say, test.jsonl. By the way I'm writing this code is called a context manager. It's good practice to do that because it helps us to manage the resources of the system better. We'll use write all to write the list of dictionaries in JSON lines file, and then we'll see the file in Google Drive. Then we can iterate in this list to see the content of each dictionary. Well, the content in the completion is not very pretty. I suggest you, if you want to develop further this project, to find a solution to process it. Then we'll get to the part where we tune the Openai model, which is the most exciting one. We go to the tutorial page and we get this command to prepare our data for the fine-tuning process. Oop, add an exclamation point right there. And then we'll add, instead of local file, the path to our test.jsonl file we created earlier. We run it and it will require some configuration. Well, it gives us a warning. That's because I don't have enough data in my JSON lines file. Probably the model will not be extremely accurate, so I suggest you to get, if you want to continue to get more data from these repositories, or fork a couple of more to match the requirements giving that warning. Of course, we'll need to configure our model um, to match the completion requirements. Of course, we'll keep it very simple. Okay, we'll remove this prefix because we want it to be as human-like as possible. And then we'll write in a new JSON lines file this, and we get this command right here, which consists in really tuning this model and creating our personalized model from the OpenAI engine. We can see that it's a problem. The batch size, it's not right. Again, from the fact that I don't have much data in my JSON lines file, I have to give a bigger size, but it will affect the performance of this model. So choose your data wisely. Okay, so we run it. It will take a couple of seconds or minutes. Okay, so we finished it. We can see that it gives us the command we can try. We have the name of the model right here. It's uploaded in OpenAI's cloud resources, so we don't have to worry about it very much. Now, if we want to test the model, we'll use the code from the documentation. We'll import the OpenAI library. and we'll uh, this code sequence, and from earlier we give the model name. Again, you can put it in a .env file in the future if you want to develop it further. And then the prompt, let's ask it about the this repo right here. What is it doing exactly? Okay, so it gave us a response like of course we'll need to tune this model a little bit better to give better responses, but it's a good example and it's a starting point in using this great engine. Okay guys, thanks you for watching and see you next time.